The war in Gaza has been raging on for more than 5 months now. Tens of thousands of people have been killed. The war sparked a humanitarian crisis with a dire food and water shortage in Gaza and insufficient housing and sanitation. The whole situation is affecting many Americans and many North Country residents deeply. A letter-writing night in Saranac Lake has become a place to process those emotions. That's today's story of the day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Pearsall Wealth Management at UBS Wealth Management USA, subsidiary UBS AG, member FINRA SIPC, 1 Broad Street, Glens Falls.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Monday, March 11th. First up, New York National Guard soldiers with ties to the Albany area were killed Friday in a helicopter crash by the U.S.-Mexico border. John Gracia, a New York State trooper and Schenectady resident, died in the crash. Casey Frankowski, the daughter of the former Rensselaer police chief, was also killed. A Border Patrol agent also died in the incident. Another soldier, Jacob Pratt of Rensselaer, was seriously injured. Major Jean-Marie Kratzer is with the New York National Guard.
With Sergeant Pratt, we are praying for a quick recovery of him. And again, with our senior leadership here, our deepest condolences will go out to the family and friends of those service members that passed, and also that U.S. Customs Border and Patrol agent who was also killed.
According to the National Guard, the soldiers were operating as part of Joint Task Force North, a military unit that supports customs and border protection operations. The unit is operating in federal duty status and is not part of the Texas National Guard's Operation Lone Star. Lawmakers in Albany are hashing out the final details of the 2024 budget. Advocates for older adults say Governor Kathy Hochul has proposed too little money for them. NCPR intern Zach Jaworski reports.
The New York State Office for the Aging is set to receive about $200 million in state funding. Statewide advocates want about twice that. Andrea Montgomery directs the St. Lawrence County office.
It's been frustrating for years that aging services haven't been prioritized by the federal or the state government.
The St. Lawrence County Office for the Aging provides medical transportation, meal deliveries, Medicare counseling, legal services, and in-home care support. New York's 65 and older population has increased by 31% over the last decade, according to Spectrum News. 37% of that population lives in poverty. Montgomery says that much of that increasing population does not want to go into a nursing home. She says there needs to be more funding for alternatives.
Home care, housekeeping, home-delivered meals, programs such as that can help them stay in their homes.
Montgomery says that putting more money into the state budget for older people is the moral thing to do.
We're not just talking about numbers. We are talking about older adults, about humans. And as I said before, these are the people who raised us. They took care of us. They created the environment and society we are living in now. It is our responsibility to take care of them. We really need to be looking at this and prioritizing aging services.
The final state budget is due April 1st. For North Country Public Radio, I'm Zach Jaworski in Canton.
Big congrats to Zach Jaworski for his first on-air story as an NCPR intern. Glens Falls is hosting the high school boys state basketball tournament this week, and its team has made the semifinals. It's the third year in a row that the city has been home to the statewide basketball competition. The Cool Insuring Arena in downtown Glens Falls will host the tournament, which begins on Thursday. According to the Regional Visitors Bureau, more than 1,000 student athletes are expected to compete in the 18-game tournament. The boys team from Glens Falls will tip off in the Section A semifinals on Friday morning. The conflict between Israel and Hamas has sparked outrage among many people here at home. In Saranac Lake, folks have been meeting every Monday night for months. They write letters to politicians calling for a permanent ceasefire. Emily Russell reports.
Walk into the Adirondack Center for writing on a Monday night, and the place is buzzing. Dozens of people are spread out on couches, sitting together at tables. They're here because of what's happening in Gaza and because of what politicians are and aren't doing about it.
I think I've sent at least 30 emails so far.
That's Emily Bannock. She's been writing to lawmakers for weeks, calling for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. Bannock says she's written to Democrats and Republicans, people like President Joe Biden, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, and Senator Chuck Schumer.
Chuck Schumer gave the commencement address when I graduated from SUNY Binghamton in 2019, and he had this whole speech about how young people are empowered and we have futures ahead of us. And so I sort of wrote a letter where I was like, oh, so is it just us? What about, the youths in Gaza? Don't they have a future too?
Since the start of the war, more than 30,000 Palestinians and an estimated 1,400 Israelis have been killed. Children in Gaza are now dying of starvation. Biden and other top Democrats like Chuck Schumer are focused on getting food and other aid to Gaza. They're also seeking a 6-week ceasefire. But Melissa Kiltz, who's here tonight from Lake Placid, says that's not enough.
It just seems like they're saying what we want to hear right now, but their actions are telling us something completely different.
Kiltz and a few others here tonight have actually heard back from one politician, North Country Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. But Kiltz says she was disappointed by Stefanik's response, which focused largely on Israel. Here she is reading from Stefanik's email.
Sorry, it's the second paragraph of the letter. What it says is Israel is one of our strongest allies, and its continued strength and prosperity provide the United States with a unique strategic partner in the Middle East. Over the last 75
Stefanik
years,
goes on to say that she'll
the
continue to support military aid for Israel, which has been a bipartisan funding priority for decades. But the current war in Gaza has sparked something in a growing faction of Democrats around the U.S. who are saying enough is enough. Tyler Barton from the Adirondack Center for Writing helps organize these events. He grew up during the Iraq War and says he does not want to see the U.S. keep perpetuating conflicts in the Middle East.
If it goes beyond Gaza, if there are other countries that we're bombing now because we're standing up for Israel, I just don't want to personally be involved in more forever wars in the Middle East. And I feel like it's the time to stand up and say, war is not the world I want to live in.
The mood here tonight is mixed. Folks mostly are just focused on writing letters. One woman is drawing colorful peace signs on some postcards. 23-year-old Frances McClure has been coming to these letter-writing events for weeks. She says it's been a helpful way to learn about and process what's going on in Gaza.
They provide resources here about current updates every week, which is really helpful, and have some folks that are more closely connected to the cause.
It's unclear how likely a permanent ceasefire is anytime soon in Gaza, or what kind of impact these small-scale efforts have on elected leaders. But here in Saranac Lake, it's clear people want a space for this kind of thing, a shared space to process the war in Gaza and to put their feelings down on paper. Here's organizer Tyler Barton again.
It's trained this muscle in me, and I think in a lot of people, to make sure that the feelings I have towards issues that we are supporting in America, that I make sure that my representatives know. So I think that's the message that carries forward, is that we're constantly keeping in touch with our elected officials and letting them know what we believe in.
This group will continue meeting every Monday night in Saranac Lake until early April. Emily Russell, North Country Public Radio, Saranac Lake.
We have more news all the time on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Patricia Julian of Burlington and B. Children of Canton. I'm David Sommerstein, North Country Public Radio.